You guys are locked into your favorite morning show at the Filter Coffee Parlor. Y'all know what time it is, y'all. Coffee and conversation with your boy Joe Lockett. Today's guest, y'all. Listen, this show must be getting really popular because I got very, very important VIPs making time for your boy. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know. I got the DA in the building today, y'all. And I ain't going to jail, okay? But I got the DA in the building today. Y'all know who he is, the one and only. The DA, Danny Carr. He's in the building and gonna have coffee and conversations with your boy, Joe Lockett. So make sure you guys grab your coffee, man. It's a conversation that you've never heard before. And we got some things that we want to talk about. And I got some things I want to heap on him. But it's gonna be a great conversation. But before I get to my special guest today, I want to talk to you guys about, of course, you always talk about your health. Make sure you guys are eating healthy out there, taking care of yourself. But I want you guys to understand something about this show. This show is live at the Filter Coffee Parlor, the community show, right? This show has taken over the internet, y'all. And trust me, I am so happy and thank you guys for all the listeners, the new followers that we have gotten for this show, and all the people that want to come onto the show now. When I first started this show, man, people like, man, you done lost your damn mind, right? But now there are people wanting to come onto the show, and we have celebrities and VIPs coming onto the show each and every week. So first and foremost, I want to thank all my guests, number one, for trusting me with their stories, trusting me with their journey, and trusting me to have a conversation over coffee. Love you guys so very much for doing that, y'all. And make sure that you guys, this conversation here is a very important conversation. And no matter what municipality you may be in, this is a conversation you listen to. This man that I'm about to bring onto the show today, right, took me under his wing years ago when I was nobody. But he made me somebody. The one thing of what makes a good DA, if you're a DA, that what makes a good DA, that he or she sees you before you see yourself. They see something in you that you don't see in yourself. This man that I'm going to be talking to today, and I can actually call him my friend, right? Saw something in me when people didn't believe in me. And even when the time we met, he was going through a time where people was like, maybe sort of kind of, right? But we believed in each other. We trusted each other. And over the years, I have watched this man flourish and take the community by storm. He walks down the street. He cannot walk down the street without taking a picture or shaking a hand. You know what I'm saying? It's my man. All right, y'all. Without any further ado on this great show today, the one and only, my friend, the District Attorney of Jefferson County, Danny Carr. Welcome to the show.
Joe, glad to be here, man. Look, pretty day, wonderful place for coffee. I'm on this show with a man who has, in my opinion, has transformed what community conversations mixed with coffee, mixed with sunlight, live show. Man, I'm so proud of what you've done, man.
Thank you.
I can recall when we first talked years ago.
Yes.
And there was a lot of uncertainty around me and my course of action and who I was and was I fit to do the job and things like that. But you embraced me as well, man. I want to tell you, man, I appreciate that. And if you come calling, my brother,
you always
I'm
answer.
There, man.
You always answer the phone,
I'm
man. One thing I can say for over the years, because when your birthday comes or whatever, I text you, say happy birthday.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? How you doing?
That's right.
We don't talk often, but we talk. Right? Because there's that mutual respect there.
That's right.
But on this show today, man, I know you've done hundreds of interviews. I've seen you on CNN. I've seen you everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to do a different show with you, my friend. So is it okay if I call you Danny?
That's it.
All right.
That's what I prefer.
All right.
Yes.
So, Danny, I want to have a conversation with you, man. And I want to go back because I know your mom. I know your family, right? I want to go back to the time before you came this guy that everybody knows and you can't go anywhere without, it's like you can't go nowhere without nobody knowing your name, right?
Right.
I want to go back to who is Danny, okay? Did you grow up here in Birmingham, Alabama?
Grew up here, born and raised in Birmingham.
Okay.
And actually, I was born and raised in the Ensley community.
Okay.
That's a community where a lot of people say there's not a lot of good come out of it, right? It's a community for years. Even when I was there, people considered it underserved. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, at the time when I was there, there was a true neighbor in the word neighborhood, meaning that the neighbors cared, the neighbors held a level of responsibility for the young people in that community.
Right.
The OGs kind of speak.
Right.
They would always tell me, look, man, you're different. You
they protect
you can't roll with us. You're different.
Right.
And I didn't know what they meant, other than probably, hey man, you don't have the, the intestinal fortitude to do what we do, right?
Right.
Which obviously I didn't. But in reality, in that community, walking back and forth to school, you ran into that sector of the community. But that sector at the time really, they kind of protected me. I had a loving family. My mother, who's a retired principal, didn't spare the rod. She made
still don't.
She made me understand that there were no excuses, right?
Right.
Your circumstance don't dictate your future. You do.
Right.
And because of that.
Thank you.
Oh man. This is
Appreciate you.
This is top shelf here, man. This top shelf.
Coffee conversation, baby.
Yeah, but your circumstance don't dictate your future. You do. And because of that, I always honor her. I always honor my family, my grandmother, my late grandmother, my mom, and I'm just proud to call her my mother and be her son.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. I never asked you this here.
Right.
I never do talk about your father much.
Right.
Was he there? Was he around?
My biological dad wasn't around, Joe. We never really had a relationship. But in reality, I had a grandfather. I had an uncle who a lot of people know who's a Hall of Fame jazz musician.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So his name is Daniel Carr Jr.
Okay.
I'll give you some what people don't know.
Okay.
My name when I was born was Daniel Carr III.
Okay.
My grandfather was Daniel Carr Sr. Jose was Daniel Carr Jr. I was the third.
Wait a minute, Jose. Where Jose come from?
Well, yeah, that's what they call him, Jose.
Okay.
And some of the listeners, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But he was inducted to the Jazz Hall of Fame recently.
Wow.
And they did a documentary on him at the Carver Theater.
Okay.
But my grandmother decided I don't want no more Daniel Carrs in the family. So my name was changed when I think my mom said about 2 months old to Danny Carr versus Daniel Carr III. So my name was changed.
So your original name was Daniel.
Daniel Carr.
Wow.
But my legal name is Danny Carr, because my grandmother didn't want any more Daniel Carrs in the family.
Look at grandma changing history.
She changed the history.
History.
And my stepfather, who's deceased recently, Lieutenant James Hope, who did a lot for me.
Sorry,
showed me the way. But I can tell you, man, the OGs, the teachers, the coaches, who sports, man, I have to give all of them the credit in the world, man.
Brothers and sisters.
My little brother, Jackson Hunter, he was killed. Yeah, he was killed. Guys carjacked him, took his car. This was right during the summer after he graduated high school, on his way to his freshman year at Miles College, and they killed him, took his car, and so that's always a difficult thing. But at the end of the day, I truly believe in the afterlife, and I believe that at the end of the day, no matter how you leave here, if you're a true believer, then it's a better place for you.
So 10-year-old Danny.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny, and I'm glad you asked that question. I wish I had bought it today because I want your listeners to truly believe this. At 10 years old, I used to always watch Matlock. My grandmother always had Matlock. We had one television, so you didn't change the channel. You watched what was on there. And she loved Matlock.
Wait a minute. Grandmother let you change the channel and use the channel change, right?
I was the channel change. But if you didn't buy the TV, you didn't change the channel, right? So I just love Matlock, and I feel like Matlock was just the smartest guy in the world.
Right.
But in reality, as I got a little older, here's the thing. I was looking at, and people don't know this, I played basketball at Alabama State on a basketball scholarship. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But in the media guide, my freshman year, I looked at the media guide last night. And in the media guide, it had like career aspirations. That was one of the categories. And it said a career in law and real estate. And I've done both. But at the time, honestly, neither one of them had anything to do with math. So that's what I wanted to do.
So do you think, honestly, looking at Matlock because of grandma, do you think they really played a part into you?
It did. I really felt like looking at that show, and I felt like in that time, he would always solve a problem.
Right.
He would always get to what the issue was, right? And then growing up as a young man in what they call the hood, I call the neighborhood in Inslee, I just felt like, being a lawyer was just something, for whatever reason, was just embedded in me. I didn't have any lawyers in my family. Obviously, didn't have anybody that ever worked in the DA's office in my family.
Right.
To be honest with you, during that time, I didn't know who or what the DA did.
Exactly. Yeah.
And most people that went to law school with me, Joe, they all want to be criminal defense lawyers, or they all want to be personal injury lawyers. They all want to be the next Alexander Shinar or things like that. But for me, it was, for whatever reason, it was a different path. And what I realized, Joe, was this. A lady asked me one day walking out of the courtroom. She said, I know your history. I know who you are. I know your brother was murdered. I know you're from a single parent home. I know 2 of your best friends are in prison for the rest of their lives. But you became the DA. How do you sleep at night? She looked in my face and asked me that. And my response to her was simple. And it was, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. And what I meant by that was, you have to have a seat at that table to effect change. Criminal defense lawyers, I love them all. But you don't get to them until you've done something. You've been charged, incarcerated, and all this stuff.
Right.
But you know who made that decision? The DA. You don't go before a judge unless the DA made a decision to indict you. Your assets under the asset forfeiture clause can't be taken unless the DA does. So if you think about all of the things that the DA and all the duties that person he or she has, in my opinion, that's the most powerful person in the criminal justice system. And at that point, when I realized that, I said, wow, man, why not me? Why I can't be at that table?
So I got to ask you this, Danny. At what point in your life when you were growing up that you decided what you just said, why not me?
Joe, I can remember leaving the Dollar Move. I don't know if you remember, there was a Dollar Move over there.
Yeah. Over there. Yeah.
Dollar Move.
Yeah.
And my mother and my uncle, who I mentioned, Jose, Daniel Carr Jr., he had nice cars. Always had nice cars and always dressed a certain way. I remember that growing up, right? And he would let me drive his car. I had to learn something. But my friend, one of my buddies, he was 2 years older than me. He had a driver's license. We drove his Corvette to the movies one night. And leaving the movie theater, we were pulled over. And we were pulled over for no reason, to be honest with you. And car was searched. And knowing what I know now, that's unconstitutional. That's illegal. But as a young man in that neighborhood, all you want to do was just survive that encounter and get home. At that point, not saying I wanted to be the DA, but I realized that at that point, you need to be in a decision-making component in order to effect change in the community, man. And I never forget that when I was pulled over, stopped, taken out the car, and it wasn't a messy encounter because I was always taught, when you're dealing with law enforcement, your job at that point is just to be compliant and deal with whatever later. Not argue with them, not try to fight, But in reality, the more I thought about that, Joe, there was no probable cause or anything. We were pulled over strictly because we were riding while black in a nice car over in the innocent community at the time.
Wow.
And I think about all those things now, man, and the reality, man. And one last part of this is on a guy named Judge Houston Brown, who was the first African-American presiding judge in Jefferson County. First one ever. He and my mom were best friends. And I don't know if you remember Clyde Jones, who retired. They were law partners. When I graduated law school, I went to work for him when I passed the bar. He came to me and said, listen, you can work here at our firm, but in reality, if you truly want to make a difference, if you truly want to get trial experience, you want to be a trial lawyer, you need to work at the DA's office. Something that I was interested in anyway. Well, he called David Barber, who's a longtime DA. David hired me, and I've been there ever since. And, July of this year will make 24 years for me there.
Wow.
Now, let me be clear. I started there when I was only 2 years old. I want to be clear about that, Joe. Let me be clear about that. I was 2 years old when I started there. But 24 years from me, man.
I got you.
24.
Makes sense.
So yeah. I mean, it's been a godsend. It's been a blessing, but it wasn't really I'm just being obedient. I think this was really my calling, man. I think God put me in this position for a reason.
I wanted to ask you, so when you was in Inslee, what elementary school did you go to?
I went to Council Elementary.
Okay.
And And from Council, I went to Jackson Hole.
So you was J.O. Marching Mustang.
Hey,
Oh,
Jackson
you was
Hole.
acting the fool then.
Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
Jackson Nolan, hey, through and through. Played basketball at JO.
Okay.
Let me say this. Never played only 2 games of B team.
Okay.
From the 9th grade through the 12th grade, I played varsity basketball.
Okay. So you can hoop.
I can hoop.
Okay.
I started as a 10th grader,
Okay.
got a full scholarship to Alabama State University, played
For
there
basketball?
and started there for 3 years as well.
I never knew
I know a lot
that
of people,
about you.
A lot of people.
But you don't look like a hooper. Then I've been knowing people, but you look. Wait a minute. Even people in the audience know, but you don't look no hooper.
This my friend, right? With friends like him, you know, I don't look like a hooper.
We friends, bro.
People wonder. They ask,
I'm gonna get pulled over. I'm gonna get pulled over when I leave.
You are. People ask me that all the time. I said, but they do say, they said, Daddy, you really hoop? I said, you can look it up. You can Google it.
Right.
I hooped and played at Alabama State for 4 years on a full scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Played at Jackson Nolan, got recruited by UAB. And the only reason I'm gonna tell you, the only reason I didn't go to UAB and play basketball because there was a guy on the team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You may notice now he just got the head coaching job at Rams named Barry Bearden.
I heard
Barry Bearden, who's the new head coach at Ramsey, was playing at West End, but he was starting point guard at UAB.
So I got to ask you this question now since you're about the basketball thing, Daddy. Go ahead and grab a call, man. You can move them.
Let me grab my call for a minute.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and grab a call.
Yeah.
So what was the stats like, Danny?
Let me say this.
I don't know what those stats like.
Let me say this.
Okay.
My senior year,
I
led the county in assists.
Okay.
My junior year, I was second in assists.
Okay.
I averaged my senior year. I think I averaged about 16 and 8.
16 and 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. About 16 and 8. And remember now, during that time, there was, to me, in my opinion, that was the heyday of high school basketball.
Right.
You know, and guys who could not play did not make the team. Now you have guys on a team who couldn't play dead in a cowboy show, right? But honestly, they couldn't play dead in a cowboy show. They couldn't play dead in a horror film. But in reality, you know, I mean,
DA does have a sense of humor.
Yeah, but the guys who I played against, man, I mean, and then they had, I don't know if you remember, they had a summer league here. That was at UAB and at Birmingham Southern. And you will have guys like Charles Barkley come back, Enos Watley. I mean, you will have Reggie Mule King. You have all these guys who are playing in the NBA come back and play in the summer league. Wow. And I would play with them as a high schooler. We would play at Birmingham Southern in Bill Battle, or we would play in Bartow Arena.
Right.
But at the time, Bartow wasn't there, so it was the gym across the street over there.
I know somebody. Yeah.
So it was a great experience for me, man.
So how was your grades in high school?
They were pretty good. I felt like as
an athlete, DA type grades?
No, they weren't DA type grades. They weren't DA type grades. But I would say this: I knew that education was important to me.
Because your mom was a principal, right?
My mom was a high school principal.
Yeah. So because I was like, okay, so what happened?
Let me tell you. Yeah, grades were kind of important, but we had to have decent grades to be on the team.
Right.
And for me, you know, I did enough. I didn't do what I could have, in all honesty.
Basically, what they said back in the day for us, you didn't apply yourself.
You didn't apply yourself.
Yeah.
And even then, Joe, truth is, the cool people were not the ones that were making straight A's, so to speak. Now, as we are adults now, we know that those are the cool people.
Yeah.
Because those end up being some of the most successful people, right? But in reality, you know, if you were going to class every day, you know, walking to school with all your books in your hand and all that stuff, you considered a nerd.
Right.
But in my mind, I had to have decent grades to be able to play.
Guys like you in high school, I didn't like y'all. Let me tell you why.
Because see, y'all know why. Cause you know, Joe was seeing his way out of class. I just want to see my way out.
I see my way all the way to school. But it ain't that. You was the pretty boy.
Yeah, I mean,
wait a minute. You was the pretty boy that played basketball. You was the guy that when I be walking with my girl.
Yeah, I mean,
you had already talked to her. You had a phone number.
Yeah, I come visit your school.
Yeah,
I would come ride by your school. You know, got my first car got my first car in the 9th grade. Brand new car, it was a brand new Conquest. Leather seat.
Wait a minute.
5-speed.
Ninth grade, you got a brand new car.
Brand new Conquest, man. Then I got a new car every year, man. My mom kind of spoiled me a little bit. You know, Joe, I never
Get off this show. I don't even want to talk to you no more.
Let me tell you. And I never
Mama car.
My mama spoiled me, man.
Hey mama, can you adopt me?
My mom spoiled me. And I think a lot of that too was, you know, just her seeing that, okay, he's on the right track. So I'm gonna keep him on the right track, right? I'm gonna do what it takes. I'm gonna make sure he has all of his needs and most of his wants. And for me, man, I tell people all the time, man, I mean, she single-handedly put me in a position to be in this position to sit here and interview with you right now.
How important? Because one thing, if people know you, if they see you, they see mama.
Absolutely.
Right. Everywhere.
Yeah.
How important is it for you, for your mom to see your success and for her to know how much you appreciate her?
You know, it is the most important thing, to be honest with you. You know, I tell people anytime I make a speech or get an award, I always tell them she should be up here with me. You know, because it's just as much as hers as mine. And I hope people who see this interview and people who hear me talk like that all the time understand it's okay to be a mama's boy. You know, you just can't be a mama's boy and be in the basement and be unemployed. You got to be a mama's boy and have a career goal in mind and be doing everything you can to obtain it. But I tell people, look, I'm a mama's boy through and through. Mm-hmm. And I'm a mama's boy because I recognize and understand the sacrifices she made, my grandmother made. Mm-hmm. They made huge sacrifices, man. I never worked until I graduated college.
Wow.
My mom would never allow me to get a job. Anytime I said, look, I think I want to get a job, she said, why? You don't need a job. Your job is to get grades. But I'll tell you a quick story. Sure. It's funny. I remember in the 10th grade, I came home and I said, look, I got moved up to the varsity, had a new car. Mm-hmm. I said, look, Mom, you know, I got good grades. Look at my grade report card, you know. And she looked at me and said, what you want me to do? Give you a cookie? Why should I reward you for something? Why should I reward you for something you should do? Yeah. You're supposed to get good grades. Right? I pay the bills. You know, your grandmother and I make the sacrifices. You should get good grades. Right. What you want us to do about that? Right. You should. Right. And from that point forward, man, I just remember that compartmentalized and put a lot of things in perspective for me, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm always motivated to make her proud. I'm always motivated to keep her proud. And I'm also motivated, man, to keep this community proud, especially Ensley, where I'm from, but everybody, you know, and it's a tough thing, man, to understand and know that, you know, that there are a lot of people that's kind of rooting for you, but at the same time, you know, I think I said this in church one time, when people feel like you've gotten up so far, they feel like they can only talk to you if they pull you down. Think about that. You know, so you have to make sure that people understand that you're the same person. You know, and whatever elevation that you have doesn't make you, you know, any more important other than the fact that you recognize and embrace the blessings that God has given you. But at the same time that you understand that as a leader, leadership is not about being right, it's about making things right.
I want to ask you this here, Danny. When you was in high school, was there any time, because it seems, you know, you had a lot going on. You were good. You know what I'm saying? You that kid people kind of want to hang out with and look up to.
Yeah. Glad to hear that.
But that's what it sounds like, though. You know, you're at JO, you know, you got it going on, you varsity team, you're doing your thing, right? But was there at any point when you was in high school that there was something that could have derailed you, but you made another choice?
Yes, that's a great question. There were two guys that live right behind me, and they're both incarcerated in St. Clair Correctional Facility now. They're both doing life without parole. And every time I go to St. Clair to speak, people don't know this, I actually go in the prison and speak for Black History Month. But those two guys, man, I thought were the coolest guys in the world when I was younger. I used to always say, Lord, why I had to have a mean mom? Why can it be cool to be out in the park and just hang out like them? Right. They living the dream.
So you thought your mom was mean?
Yeah. She was mean to me. She was mean to me. You mean to me, buddy. Let me tell you, she was mean to me. But in reality, I remember wanting to hang out with them guys. Other than we're just playing basketball and in the backyard, just kind of having a good time boxing and doing this stuff. Right. you know, when they leave, I want to go leave with them, hang out with them. But, you know, those same guys will say, no, man, you're different. Whatever they saw in me, they saw. But at the same time, I also knew subconsciously that my mom, my grandmother, street lights come on. If I'm not where I said I was, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a price to pay.
Yeah,
a huge price to pay.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is called a butt whooping.
Yeah.
And those things kind of drove me away from anything other than extracurricular activity with those guys. But getting in the car with them, hanging out, you know, grabbing a gun. No, it was never for me. And those guys really, honestly, those guys in the community plus my family, you know, made it.
That was a time when me and you grew up that the community took care of. So I grew up in West End, 5-2-11.
Yeah.
And Nook, Easy Rider, Big Nook.
Big Nook. I know Nook.
Everybody knew
with
Nook.
the Easy Rider. I know Nook.
Everybody knew Nook.
Yes.
Nook was that man.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew what Nook did back in the day.
That's right.
Nook lived on the corner. I lived on 304. He lived right around the corner from us. What Nook did never came to me.
Right. Right.
He made sure all the kids in the neighborhood were protected. We could play football in the street.
Right.
Tyree, you know, play that tackle football in the street.
Hey, man, we did it all the time.
Jumping.
All the time.
We never, when I grew up, when I was in West End, we never, even kids, because we don't worry about danger, but we never knew there was danger.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I never knew when I grew up there that it was a bad place. He made sure of that.
That's right.
I didn't know until I got older that what he did, and when people was going back and forth to his, but we just saw people going in and out. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we saw him doing something, but he never sold. We were good.
Right.
We came up in a time where the neighborhood protected the kids.
Absolutely.
Made sure that the good, like you said, they just call me Little Lockett, right? Or Little Joe. Because I am a junior. Right. And anytime I would do something, Little Joe, you jump and do that. And like you said, the street lights couldn't come on for me. You heard it.
You better get there. Let me tell you, you better hightail it. And you better hightail it, and you better not be a minute. You better not hear a cricket. Man, at nighttime. Oh no, you better be in the house.
My mama told me by the time that street light came on, your butt better be on the porch.
Absolutely.
Not when it's on. When it come on. When that light pop on, you better be on the porch. On the porch. You know what I'm saying? Not walking around the corner.
Right.
Not walking up the steps.
On the porch.
So you knew when I looked when that thing, bro,
man,
paced out.
But Joe, what happened to that? I mean, think about it. What I mean, how did we get to where we are now, where that is just so sorely missed, man?
I think now, Danny, when we look at where society is, parents are busy being busy. Our parents were busy raising us.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Everything they did was in the light of us. Right. There was no beauty in health. There was no, I need to get my weave done, go get the nails done. I never saw my mama get her nails done. Okay? I never saw my mama. I never saw my mama spend money to go get her hair done. Right. Ever. Right. Mama had rollers in her head. Okay. And she would paint her fingernails with the little stuff that she got from the drugstore.
That's it.
That was it, bro. That was none of all this. I got to go get a massage. My mama, to my knowledge, never went and got a massage when I was a kid. Right. That wasn't her regimen. Her regimen was to be a wife to my father and a mother to her kids. That's right. Right. That was it. I think now that everybody is more in tune to what they're doing, I'm a parent, but also I got to make time for me.
So the mindset is.
I think a lot of it has to deal with the mindset, and Big Mama's no longer here. Big Mama is Young Mama now.
Exactly.
And so the Young Mama don't. Young Mama said, I didn't want to be like Big Mama in the house, code in the road. You know what I'm saying? Right. So their mentality and the philosophies that they have, in my humble opinion, has changed. They're still great moms. They want the best for their kids. Mm-hmm. But our mom and dad made us work and took away, and really took away. Like, I guarantee you may have had a car, but if you missed about your mom was snatching the keys.
Let me tell you quickly. I had a car, but it was strictly, hey, school, back to the house.
One around.
Let me tell you, I probably had that car 2 years. It wasn't 9,000 miles.
Bruh,
And you weren't able to drive it.
When I did get my driver's license, my father gave me lecture after lecture after lecture every time I left the house. But there was one rule that he always had. You can have one friend in the car. One.
Same rule.
He said he can sit in the front seat.
Right.
That back seat is not for anybody.
Same rule
He
here.
said, if I see you or I hear tell that you got anybody in the back seat of that car, you will no longer have a car as long as you live under my roof.
Same rule. Same rule here. I mean, purchase the car, dictated where you go in it, dictated how long you were in it, dictated who was in it.
That's it.
And I mean, and again,
and made me pay for it. Made me pay for my car.
I had
to pay for my car, bro.
I told man, I said, look, I got a scholarship, so I paid for the car. Okay. Yeah. I paid you back. I paid you back.
Right.
I paid you back.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you was so you went to Alabama State.
Yeah.
So you left JO and went to. So you did all your time at Alabama State.
Did all my time at Alabama State, and actually went there, played basketball, played the fraternity.
I'm on basketball thing.
Yeah, played the fraternity.
So let me get what fraternity you're part of?
There's only one. I mean, Phi Nu Pi. I mean, shout out to all the noobs that's gonna be watching this. I don't know of any other fraternity out there.
Wow.
There's only one. That's it, man. That's it. Hey, there's nothing else. There's nothing else.
I want to make sure you get a shout out to the Kappas.
Hey, shout out to the noobs.
Hey, man. Hey, really appreciate it. So, wait, you want to throw your thing up? Go ahead, do your thing.
Hey, shout out to the noobs. Hey, coffee on the noobs.
I love it. So, in college, because I don't know this, what did you major in?
I majored in political science.
Okay.
Because I always thought that I want to be a lawyer, but at the same time be able to talk politics on the news, CNN, or break down elections and numbers and all this stuff. So I majored in that, but I also picked that because, in all honesty, all the basketball players and football players either majored in criminal justice and or political science because it wasn't a lot of math involved.
Okay.
I hated math.
Gotcha.
Let me tell you.
Okay,
math,
that's why.
I hated it.
Right.
So for me, law school was perfect for me because it's just a lot of reading, right? Reading comprehension. And I love to read. And like I said, they just fell in line. And I love to kind of engage with people. And being a lawyer, being a trial lawyer was what I wanted to do. What I mean by trial lawyer, you have lawyers that do wills and trusts. You have lawyers that look at contracts, all this stuff. I wanted to get up and stand up in a courtroom, in a court of law, and do an opening statement, cross-examine a witness, do a direct examination, do a closing argument, and then I always say this: I wanted to be in a courtroom and hear we got a verdict, and stand up and take that verdict. That's what I've always wanted to do.
Wow!
And I was able to do it, and I've been doing it now for 24 years.
So college, you did what? 4 years?
I actually did 5.
Did 5, okay.
Because that 1 year I pledged was a throwaway year. The grades were horrible, man.
The grades were great.
The grades were horrible.
I understood.
So and in basketball season, we could only take 15 hours.
Gotcha.
We were traveling, playing, practicing. So I did 5 years. That 5th year was great though. Let me tell you, that 5th year, I only had one class. Yeah. So I would wake up, take my little one class at 10 o'clock, and buddy, it was a party, hanging out, frat party.
Right.
Top flight. Anybody been to Montgomery? Top flight. Had a good time. And my mom don't like to hear about that because at that time, that's the 1 year she had to pay rent for me because after that 4th year, you're out the dorm.
Right.
So I had an apartment. They kicked me out the apartment. People don't know this. They kicked me out of 4 apartments. And my mom will verify that. 4.
Oh, you got kicked out.
Within a 7-month span, I got kicked out of 4 different apartment complexes. Parties, loud music. They kicked me out.
The district attorney.
Yeah, I did, man.
Not the district attorney.
The DA got kicked out. Parties, loud music. My mom would come find me somewhere else. Party, loud music. Mama come. Cookouts at 1 a.m. We on the deck. We cooking out. Somebody got to look.
What are you cooking, Danny, at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Look, man, somebody decided it was a good idea to have a cookout at 1 a.m. Steaks. Let me tell you, I mean, what the
Really?
hot Franks, dudes on the back talking loud. So I get kicked out of that one. Then she finally found me a house.
Uh-huh.
And I had a house up there, man. And of course, I didn't get kicked out the house, but it was close. But the neighbors were complaining too. Cars all on the grass because of the party,
Them
How
cappers.
Them campers, man. Campers, the Omegas will come over. Alphas will come over. The
Right.
Sigmas will come over.
You just-
AKs. And it's just a party every day.
Yeah.
So I would tell somebody, Tuesday is, your day to get the steaks and chicken.
Right.
Wednesday, my day. Then I'd be like, wait a minute.
Well, am I doing this?
We got some guys playing, Man, let them bring the chicken and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
over.
yeah.
What are they doing?
Right.
So whenever we had a line, oh man, we would have more food in a little bit.
Right.
Oh, it was just fun.
Wow.
Just fun.
So after you graduated,
Mhm.
I want to know what Danny's mindset was. You got your degree.
Right.
You walked across that stage.
Right.
Number one, what was that feeling like, bro? Can you take me back to the moment you sitting in that thing with that thing on and you talk to me, Danny?
Let me tell you, it was a great feeling,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time, I was kind of sad because I hate to leave. I just spent the whole year having a great time. And now I had to come back home and get back under the throne of my mom and my grandmother, right?
Right.
And and that degree felt good sitting there, but I was like, man, what am I gonna do?
Right.
True story.
Okay.
Emory Anthony, who was the dean of Mount Law School at the time. I remember my mom calling him, and I told her, I said, look, I want to go to law school. Miles was like maybe $3,000 a year, whereas Cumberland or the University of Alabama was like $15,000 a year. So enrolled in Miles Law School, and let me tell you, I just got home. I was still hooping all the time, so I would go to class with like a J.R. Smith jersey on,
Right.
or old Danny Carr Alabama State jersey or something, some shorts and some Air Max. And most of the people go to law class and they have on their jeans and be conservative. And I remember Emory Anthony kind of looking at me thinking, this dude's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it. I'm serious. He's not gonna
So
make
you in law school in t-shirts and what you call it, throwback shirts.
Throwback jersey,
Yeah.
camel shirts,
You still party boy.
Yeah. Nike shorts. And then, and I remember Emory looking at me like, he's not gonna make it. I mean, but in reality, what they didn't know was I was more motivated probably than anybody else in that class. You just couldn't see it. Because for me, and people oftentimes say, man, we never know what you're thinking. You just couldn't see it. But I would go where I'm comfortable, get in there, dig in, do the work. And maybe a lot of guys walk in class with a briefcase, a suit on. But the question was, were they truly motivated, right? I probably didn't look motivated. Let me tell you, Joe, I was motivated. And I wanted to go and I wanted to pass the bar the first time. Didn't want to take it 2 or 3 times. I wanted to pass it the first. And all the mantra was, well, Miles graduates, they don't pass the bar. Their passing rate is low. They don't pass the bar. Let me tell you something. And I told a group this the other day when I spoke at the school. Those same people at Cumberland, University of Alabama, University of Loyola Marymount School of Law, University of Georgia, guess what they have to do when they come to Birmingham and interview at the DA's office? They have to be okayed by a dude from Miles Law School to get a job. Think of that irony for a minute.
Right.
This same dude that was hooping, having the parties, having a good time, coming to class with basketball gear on. Because when class was over, I should come from the YMCA and go play the class. I done played pickup. Oh man, class at 6. I'm going to class, right? Basketball in the car. But now those same people who was at Cumberland, Alabama, they got to go through me.
Wow.
They want to be an assistant DA. This boy from Ensley, single parent home, HBCU, JO, parties, got to go through me, Joe.
And so, listen, because I don't know this. I think I know the answer to this, but I want you to answer this for me. As you went, I'm taking that you got your law degree from Miles College.
I did.
Okay. Is there any difference in a law degree from Miles College?
Yeah.
Than any of these other colleges? I'm not saying the prestige, but I'm saying the degree itself.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
There is, Joe.
Okay.
And here's the difference. At the time, they said, well, Miles College was an unaccredited law school.
Okay.
that they want accredited. And really, the accreditation really means money, and it means that the law school operated in the daytime in most instances. I got accepted to Cumberland. That's the law school over at Sanford, accredited law school. But in reality, I didn't have my mom. I didn't want to put that financial burden on her. Now she would have paid it. She would have taken care of it. But I didn't want to do that. And then I got a job as a juvenile probation officer, part-time. And so I worked that in the daytime, and I went to law school at night for 4 years. So I was at family court from 8 to 5. Then I'd go play basketball. Then I would go straight to law school. But the difference in the degree is if you're from an unaccredited law school, you can't go to other states and practice law. But if you go to Cumberland, Alabama, you can.
Why is that?
Because no reason other than the accreditation process, money, the prestige of those other law schools versus now. But let me say this. Most of the judges downtown graduated from Miles Law School.
Yes.
The DA of Jefferson County graduated from Miles Law School. Not from Cumberland, not from Alabama, from Miles.
But if you wanted,
if I wanted to go to Atlanta and practice law, I would have to take a portion of their bar exam. And or I would have to petition the court what they call pro hac vici to actually be allowed to practice for that one case only. Just that one case. But after that case is over, that's it. I have to
even though you've been the DA for all these years, they still will make you do that.
Now I think now they will allow me to kind of be grandfathered in a little bit, but I still have to take a portion of their bar. Yes.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But if you went to Cumberland, you can go to Atlanta and you can practice law. That's
and the curriculum is pretty much the same, right?
Curriculum is the same.
It's a law degree.
I took the same bar that the Cumberland people took. Same bar exam, same test. And let me say this, I only took it one time. I passed it the first time. First time.
My man.
First time, scored the third highest in the state on it.
Wow. So, you was on it.
I was on it. And in the civic cemetery, the bar exam, when I took it, Joe, it was 3-4 days, and it was all day. It was from 8 to 5. And it was test after test. Test, you may have they'll throw a property test question on it, right? Property, wills and trusts, uniform commercial code, taxation, all that stuff, all day for 2 days. And then that third day, they gave you 200 multi-state questions.
Wow. And
you had to take it, and it's a civic center full of people, about 400 people in there.
So now you got me thinking now. So the cowboy, the party guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy going to the class in his throwback jersey, you know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Shorts, Nikes.
That's it.
I want to know this. I'm really curious now, Danny.
Right.
How did you buckle down, right?
Right.
From everything that you was kind of used to, who you were, that routine you had.
Right.
To get yourself in the mindset to take that bar. What did you do and what did you change?
Let me say this first off, Joe, because I really felt like a lot of people didn't believe I could do it. That motivated me. Let me tell you, there's nothing that motivates me more than when somebody tell me I can't. I'm gonna tell you something. People said, Danny, you 5'8", right? You know, 5'9.5" you had on high heels. You know, and you want 160 at the time. There's no way you could be the starting point guard at Jackson Hole High School. Not only did I start, I never played B team but 2 games. I put directly on the varsity. No way you'll get a scholarship in basketball to a university. 4-year scholarship to a D1 school. No way you'll start at that D1 school. Started 3 of my 4 years. No way that you can go to a HBCU law school that's unaccredited and pass the bar the first damn time. That just didn't happen.
Right.
Pass the bar the first time, third high score. No way that you can be elected DA. You're from the hood. You're not from an accredited law school. They've never had a black district attorney of Jefferson County. Never. You can't do it. How can you? You can't win it. Won in a landslide.
Sure did.
Right? So now what's next? You know? And for me, I tell people, there's nothing that motivates me more, Junior. Nothing in this world than when somebody said, no, Danny, you can't do it because of your circumstances. Now, if I'd have came back in town with a degree from Loyola Marymount, he can be whatever you want to be.
Right.
He went to Hoover High School. He can be whatever you want to be.
Right. They
Nothing.
see because of where you came from. They give you the credit without you actually really doing the work.
They want to limit what I can be. And in law school, I'm gonna tell you, and in law school, once I got ready to study for the bar exam, Joe, I did it like a job. And I tell students who can't pass the bar now,
okay,
we got to do it like a job. What I mean by that is I got up every morning. I took a leave of absence without pay for work. But what I did for 3.5 months, 4 months, but I saved money up to be able to pay my bills because I knew I was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I got up every morning at 8. I was at the library. I worked my way into using Cumberland's library, which you shouldn't be able to do because I didn't go to Cumberland. Mm-hmm. But I met people over there. They let me come over there and use the library. Mm-hmm. I went to their library. 9 o'clock, I was in the library. I worked till 11. 11, I took a 10-minute break. Came back, 12, worked till 12. 12, I went to lunch. Mm-hmm. You know what Sanford is? So at the time, the mall was the Brookwood was wide open. Yeah. We're talking about 2001. Okay. Mall wide open. I would go to Brookwood to eat lunch. Come back. Start back up at 1:30. Took a break at 3:30. Went back, stayed till 5. At 5 o'clock, I had paid for these bar review courses that was at Cumberland. Mm-hmm. So my bar review courses started at 6. I would go to the bar review courses from 6 to 8. And then at 8, I would shut it down. I did that every day except Sunday. Every day. And what I also did was this. 2 things. I never took, don't y'all take this the wrong way now. I took baths instead of showers. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Because in the tub, I can play a cassette at the time of the law. The elements of negligence, the elements of what it takes to have a valid will in Alabama. All these things, it became my favorite song. I heard it every night, right? Just the tenor of the voice. I played tapes in the car, never played the radio. All those things are sacrifices that I made. And I got up every morning and ran 2 miles. Here's why. Because you had to be physically able to sit in a room for 8 hours and be in good shape in order to take that test. Mm-hmm. So I ran every morning, studied just like a job for 8 hours, took my bar review, and I listened to tapes. I did that for 4 months, all the time.
Who told you to do that?
Nobody, just somebody came over. Because I wanted to reinforce what I learned that day. So even now, Joe, and common law is what the bar exam is, not what we use in the model penal code. But I still know the elements to this day. People ask a student sometime now, tell me the elements of negligence. Oh, I'm not really sure. Well, you're in law school. It's your third year. You don't know it? Mm-hmm. I took the bar 24 years ago. Mm-hmm. Duty, breach of duty, causes and damages. Tell me the elements of burglary at nighttime at common law. Mm-hmm. Breaking, entering, nighttime, dwelling house of another with intent to commit a felony therein. Still know it. But that's not the law we practice under now, but that's what you have to know for the bar.
But that's why you did it, though.
That's right. And those are sacrifices, man, that I tell people. Nobody saw those sacrifices. When they saw me, they just saw me,
right?
Nike, hanging out, being me. But I didn't hang out during that time.
I didn't know.
I know people didn't know.
I'm sitting there listening. I'm in the basement. I'm like, wow.
I mean, and I was motivated, man. But I was motivated also for my mom. Motivated for my grandma. Motivated for my homeboys and ends. Motivated for my friends. Just motivated, man, for people to be able to know that, hey, man, I can do this too, right?
And as I'm listening, Dan, this is what I love telling, listening for calls and conversations, right? There's moments in everybody's story,
right,
that there's a story that was no glory, right?
Absolutely.
And so you creating the chapters, right, to get to that point.
Absolutely.
No one knows. I don't know if y'all ever watched and seen him. I didn't see him speak sometimes. I've never heard the 4-month story.
That's right. Nobody ever heard this.
I've never heard the 4-month story.
And it's true.
Right? That right there, to me,
right.
Besides, the determination to be able to do all these other things, right. Bro, you had that it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna show you. That's me.
That's correct.
That's me. I mean,
and when you have that,
when you tell me you don't have it, yeah.
I can see it in you.
Yeah.
I can see it in you.
You tell me what I can't do. Watch this.
I hate it. I mean, me too. And sometimes when people say, "Hey, you can do it," or "Hey, you did," sometimes like it doesn't motivate me.
But it has to be something I want.
There you go.
If
it's something that I want, and you tell me I can't do it,
I'll show you.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I'll be so motivated to get there, man.
And quiet about it.
Nobody's going to outwork. People ask me all the time now, Danny, why you do so much?
Mm.
You know, why do you, I see you on the radio, I see you in these programs, I see you at churches, I see you speaking at schools, I see you doing all these things, right? And I tell them, in reality, that part of it comes from just me understanding the importance of leadership and understanding the importance of being present. Because when you're elected sometimes, I don't know, people sometimes think that people are untouchable. Well, but in reality, there are people. Let me say this. I'm gonna say this to you on your show. See, I understand that the kingmaker is more important than the king. And what I mean by that is you're only considered the king because of the position you're in. But who put you there? The people. The people put you there. So when you get there, you can never forget the people. And I'm talking about the people who you don't know that sacrifice on that day to leave their job or get up a little earlier or take their child to school and say, I got to go vote for them. I got to go vote for him, right? I got to stand in this line and vote for him. Don't ever take that for granted, man. And so for me, Joe, all that kind of stuff really, man. And I never talk about things like that. They're hearing it for the first time. But that's what motivates me. That's what motivates me. And I don't have to do that, Joe. I mean, right now, if I decide that I don't want to do this anymore, the same check gonna come in my house for the rest of my life. God has blessed me to have longevity in this position. Wow. There's no skin on my back.
Right.
But in reality, Joe, if not me, then who? Somebody got to still be there to do it, because at some point it becomes bigger than you.
That's with what you just said. That says so much about this next part of your journey story I want to get to, because now you're into the phase. You took the bar, you passed the first time,
right?
Third highest in the state,
right?
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, when you passed, did your thing, the district attorney, what was your first thing after passing the bar?
After I passed the bar, I ended up going and working at the district attorney's office. And here's the other part of it. Houston Brown called the DA at the time, who was David Barber. David Barber was a longtime DA. Okay. He served as DA for about 19 years. Yeah. And Houston called him and said, I got a young man. I think you want to meet him. He want to work in the DA's office. I met David, and I never forget what he said, and I looked around and I asked him, I said, how many African Americans work here now?
You asked him that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As assistant DA. It's the largest DA's office in the state by far. And at the time, there were only two. A guy named Doug Davis, who is no longer with us, who ended up at some point being the chief deputy. And there was a lady named, three, a lady named Gina Levert and Arnita Foster. That was it. And I got hired, and mind you, at the time, there were 40 some other lawyers. There were only three. When I got hired, there were four. And then a guy named, you may know a guy named Tyrone Townsend. He and I got hired the same day. And Tyrone worked there for about 7-8 years, and then he went out on his own. I was always motivated for whatever reason to stay there. And maybe, I don't know if it's subconsciously because my brother got murdered or what, but I was always subconsciously just motivated to stay there. But I served in every capacity in that job. Nobody could say that Danny doesn't know the DA's office and you're not qualified. I served as what they call a baby DA. Then I served as the senior trial attorney in the courtroom. Then I served as division chief, as a supervisor. Wasn't given to me as a supervisor. Then I served as chief deputy. Then I served as DA pro tem when I got appointed. And then I ran and got elected. There is no other position in the office to serve me. So coupled with that, and having the respect of the judiciary, having the respect of the defense bar, lawyers who know that, hey, Danny actually was going to court. He was the lawyer in the drug court. He was the lawyer in the mental health court. He was the lawyer, in the death court. He was the lawyer at family court. He was the lawyer in all the real high-profile murder cases.
So you know how to do it all.
Done it all there, man. Done it all there. I mean, That has been my life.
But you know, I've heard you speak very eloquently on many stages, right?
Right.
About the different things that you do.
Right.
But I never knew the story of all the what the things you were saying of why it actually could be, right?
Yeah.
And this is what when I interview, you know, celebrities like yourself, people that's in high positions, the one common thing that I hear all the time is this, Danny. They know how to do everything from the bar cook to the man up top.
Absolutely.
Back and forth, everything. See, people don't understand. There is this thing called nepotism.
Absolutely.
Right? There is. However, come.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get that, right?
Right.
A lot of people, if you look at, you know, a lot of people in our society, and you don't know that if they don't have any kind of family members there, right? There's no nepotism. They work their ass off to get there.
That's exactly
you know what
right.
I mean? And that's what I hear from you, that you worked your behind off to get to where you was.
I worked my butt off. I didn't have any handout.
Right.
Nobody in my family had set that foundation as a lawyer.
You opened that door.
I opened that door and I
Wow.
walked right through it, kept my head down, worked my tail off, and made some mistakes along the way. I'll give you a good example. Like I said, these are things that nobody ever heard me talk about.
That's why you're here.
There was a policy in the DA's office that if a person get caught with a certain amount of drugs, their punishment was life without parole. Non-violent cases. I went to court and I tried those cases and sent even African Americans to jail for life without parole for having a certain amount of pills, marijuana. But the one thing I ran on was I didn't think that people should serve life without parole for non-violent cases. Since that time, all those individuals, Joe, I've helped get out. They've gotten out.
Really?
All of them.
All of them.
And not only did I help get them out, Joe, I have lunch with some of them at the fish market once a month.
Look at you.
Those same guys who sat in a court and heard me stand up and say he needs to serve the rest of his life in prison. They're out now. They're doing well. They're leaders in our community.
Thank you.
They're working at my second chance job fair.
Thank you.
They're with their families. I've done that. Everything. There's nothing that I ran on that I hadn't done, and more. Because I tell people don't care what you know till they know that you care. They gotta know that you care. And I'm gonna tell you, man, that nobody ever heard me mention that. First time on your show.
Yeah, I did. I didn't know
Those people.
Wow.
And let me tell you how many it was. I went back and looked at it. There were in Jefferson County now. There were 16 people serving life without parole for drug cases. Had done 20 plus years.
Wow.
Years. And I got in office and I went down the line, and from each one, they filed what's called a Rule 32. And if I signed off on it, the judges let them out. Each one I've signed off on. They're out now. They're doing well. I mean, they still call me, send me cards. And I'll tell you, man, that's the part of the job that people don't know about. You know, a lady asked me yesterday, just out the blue, does this job affect you, Danny? And I thought about that when she asked me that. Just out the blue. And I told her, I don't know the answer to that, Joe. I really don't know. Because she said, look, you see the worst of everything. Right? You know, you see the worst of everything. And does that affect you? And I said, I really don't know.
You know, before we go any further, man, I know by your time, I want to say thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
We want to say thank you.
Absolutely, man.
Because the hard work that I see here, I know some of the things you do, but I didn't know the things you do.
Oh, man. Joe.
Right.
Well, you don't have to say, look, man, I need to tell you thank you. I told you, man, you were one of my supporters before it became popular to support me. You know, and that's not new for you. Let me say that. That's not new for you now, Joe. If to know Joe is to know. To know Joe is to know if the wind blowing left, he may go right. That's just who he is. You know, if they say walk, he gonna run. If they say run, he gonna walk. That's who he is. But in reality, man, I mean, you had me on your show. You reached out to me, man, and we have been friends ever since.
And I'm gonna tell you who actually connected us. Abdul.
That's right.
Abdul was the one who actually made
That's
the
my boy,
connection.
man.
That man, listen.
Let me tell you, man, that dude, man, that dude.
And I'm so proud of him.
Oh, let me tell you.
I got to get him on the show.
You got to get him on the show.
Man, because he's in politics. He was always around it.
But he never wanted to be front and center.
Front and center. Yeah.
You know, Abdul would call me, man, and be like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, oh, man, it's 7:30. I'm still, you still asleep. Man, I done knocked on 100 doors for you, man. Get up. I mean, that's the dude he is.
Yeah.
You know, and so for people like that, those are the people that motivate me, man.
Yeah.
People like Abdul, people like you, man. People
Big
who
Walk, all
really
those
big
guys.
walk.
Yeah.
People who support you even when, you know, I told a group that think about this, y'all. I don't know if y'all thought about this.
What's that?
To have a job where 50% of the courthouse every day is mad at you. Every single day you wake up. Think about this. If a guy gets a bond, you know what people say? Oh man, the DA being too soft on crime. If you keep him locked up, oh man, he doing what the white man do. He locking everybody up.
Right.
If you offer him prison, he did my family member wrong, put him in jail. If you offer him probation, see, you facilitate more crime in the street, you let them out. Whatever you do,
You can't win.
somebody mad.
Right.
And that's every day, Joe. And the one thing that I've learned, man, and my granddaddy told me this the day I got elected. I was sitting in the incident and he looked at me before I went to the party for people, not the party like college party. This was election party, okay?
Election party.
Clean
it up now. Them days over.
Yeah, don't get days over. But he looked at me and said, son, he said, from this point forward, I want you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And what he meant was, I want you to have the courage to do what's right? But at the same time, also understand that everybody's not going to be happy with you. People are going to always Monday morning quarterback decisions you make.
Right.
At the end of the day, just if you got an articulable reason for why you did it, then do it. And for that, man, between the first restorative justice program I have now called Reset Jefferson County, there's nowhere in Alabama except at the Jefferson County DA's office. First restorative justice program. Helping Families Initiative. First one, Jefferson County. That deals with chronic absenteeism, right? Drug court, mental health court, theft court, veterans court. And now I have something called Voices from the Village, who goes into the juvenile youth facility. People don't know this, and speak to them young boys, speak life into them, right? Have people from the community do that. You're going to be one of the people to go in there and do that.
Not a problem.
You'll be great for that.
Say that.
But all of those things that I do, man, are really things that just community oriented, because at the end of the day, man, being a prosecutor, let me tell you, for me, it's a tough job, it's a great job. But here's the big thing. What are you doing outside of that to make a difference? That's really the key.
I want to ask you this, man. I've never asked you this in person.
Ask me.
Okay, so you're the first Black district attorney in Jefferson County. First. For you being the first Black district attorney here in the Jefferson County, what is that pressure? What is that load? What is that expectation from us that we put on you that you feel that you have to deliver? And the days you can't deliver it, how do you handle that?
Man, Joe, let me tell you, that is probably the best question I've ever had. I'm just being honest with you. Man.
You see, I had to pause for a minute.
That is
heavy.
That's a heavy one now. Now that one is heavy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, Joe, I honestly, man, it's a lot. I tell people all the time, though, being the first is important. But what's much more important is what are you doing as the first? Does the community feel your presence, your leadership, right? Not just a warm body, you know. But a lot of people want me to do things sometimes that runs afoul of the law. They want me to be an activist from the DA's office, and I'm not going to do that. I tell people all the time, I have the facts and the law. That's my guide. But what I will do is use my discretion to do things sometimes that probably someone else in my position would not do. Just like I just mentioned, those guys that I helped get out, right? That was in my discretion, and I did that. You know,
it's like a pardon.
So it's really like, it's really what it is it's called a Rule 32.
Okay. And
what it is they can be resentenced if the DA agreed to it, and they were resentenced because we signed off, right? But I've also done little things like help people get expungement. People don't know that, because expungements are important in our community, right? Dealt with, people don't know. I was on the Medical Marijuana Commission. People don't know that. I was there. I was on the commission. They had to fight to get me on there. They had a prosecutor on there from, of all places, from Shelby County. Wow. Now, here's why that was interesting, though. And people say, well, why would you not have the DA on there from the largest county the most populated county,
Mm.
the biggest DA's office with the most cases. And then ultimately I end up being placed on there. But being the first black is difficult from a standpoint of people always kind of, some people may be waiting on you to fail. Other people will root for you and support you. There are some people who only contact you when they need something. And I told somebody the other day, I hadn't met a person yet, Joe, that didn't vote for me. And I'm like, the numbers don't show that. Didn't many people voted for me? I haven't met a person yet that hadn't voted for me.
Yeah.
I supported you. Then whenever they start with that, they're going to ask you to do something that you shouldn't do.
Right.
You know, but my granddad told me something too that time. He said, son, if you meet a person that looks you in your eye and say, I didn't support you, you can take that person to the bank. Right. But in reality, Joe, you know, you have to kind of still compartmentalize things because it's so easy in this position to get caught up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy in this position because the only oversight is you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have a boss. You know, the judges don't control you. I mean, you are, they're what, 30 judges or something in Jefferson County? There's only one district attorney. You know, now we got the Bessemer cutoff DA as well in East Washington as well. I'm talking about, you know, so you know, that's it. And so you have to be careful and leery about what you do. And you're gonna make mistakes.
Right.
There are so many rules and stuff out here, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to do things to help the community. And some people will use that against you. You know, some people will say, for instance, you know, my guy got sentenced years ago to this. Can you help him? Well, I tell people all the time, you know, I don't jump down that road unless it's a nonviolent case and they got a sentence that I think kind of violates the 8th Amendment because it's just so cruel and unusual. Then I'll get involved. Those sentences fall under the nonviolent drug cases, marijuana cases, and they get life without parole. You know, I think that is cruel and unusual. But a guy who grabs a gun, goes out, shoots somebody, person that rapes a kid, person that pistol whoops grandma, I mean, whatever sentence you got, you deserve. You earn that sentence, right? I don't get involved in that. But sometimes people want you to. You know, when you talk about second chance, because you're black. The second chance hiring fair was born out of an idea when I ran for office. I said, the way you fight crime is you change the trajectory of people's lives. That's how you do it. More police in the community is not necessarily the answer. You got to change the trajectory of their life. When they get out of prison, you got to give them double wage job.
Like JJ Pruitt does with his situation. Yeah.
So I did the first second chance hiring fair.
That's good.
No other DA in the country has ever done that. But when I said I was going to do it, Joe, everybody was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That may cause problems for you. No, you shouldn't do that. Did it anyway. We've done 9. And now you got other DAs doing it. Mm-hmm. But at first, they were like, oh, no. We did, Joe, 815 people showed up for the second chance. 800.
Wow.
At the Bow Well. 50 employers were there with livable wage jobs.
Wow.
13 resource providers. We're doing that work. We're doing that now. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm going to keep pushing the envelope, man. We're going to keep making. And those guys that show up at the job fair, Joe, a lady came to the job fair. First time talking about it. It's true story.
Okay.
She said, I saw you on the news yesterday talking about the job fair. She said, me and my 2 daughters were sleeping in the car. This is all I had. She said, I put this on. My car is parked off the street at the park. I put this on. I came to this job fair. She said, and 2 hours later, I'm leaving this job fair with 3 job offers. And she said, I just want to stop by and tell you that. And she was crying. Mm-hmm. She said, you changed my life.
That's why you do it.
That's a true story.
That's why you do it.
Yes, that's why I do it. And those are stories that people don't know about. But in reality, I said, leadership ain't about being right. It's about making things right. That is making things right. And that is not the job of the DA.
No, it's not.
Let me tell you, none of that. That's not the job.
I must say a lot of stuff, most of the stuff you do outside the office is not a job of the DA.
That's not the job of the DA.
But that's who Danny Carter is.
That's right. And that's who I am, man. Yeah. I love this community. I love Ensley. I love Ensley. I love the people in the community. Small things that I do, man. You know, I got a barbershop.
I know you got a barbershop.
I got a barbershop. It's called D&J. It's called Danny and Jackson, my little brother that was murdered.
Okay.
Barbershop in Ensley. been open now for 17 years.
Now, why I never knew you had a barbershop?
So if you Google me and Guy Rollins, he
Okay.
did a live Channel 13 interview for me at my barbershop. We walked down the street, did an interview at the barbershop.
Wow.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
and here's the thing.
Mhm.
I did that because so many young guys have a talent to cut hair.
Mhm.
But at the time they couldn't afford the booth rent.
Mhm.
So in my barbershop, I hardly charge them anything. And those guys are in there. They've been there for years. They're out of trouble. Their clientele is through the roof now where you have to have an appointment. They done bought cars. They got families, apartments.
Wow.
That's another way of me giving back. I'm not making money from that place.
All right.
But that's just another blessing.
Look at you.
God blessed me with the building because my granddaddy owned it.
Mhm.
So there's no overhead. And so in essence, man, that's just another way of giving back.
I got 2 questions. I'm gonna let you go
Okay.
because people keep hearing DA, DA, DA.
Right.
What is the job of a DA?
Great question. Man, you got a lot of great questions today. Man. Hey, I'm gonna do my homework next time I come on this thing. That's a great question. So here's what people don't know about the DA.
Okay.
The DA's job is not to convict people of crime. The DA is what I call the gatekeeper of the criminal justice system. The DA's job, and here's what it is. And when I say this, you'll understand it better.
Okay.
This is how I sum it up. The DA job is bifurcated, meaning 2 sides. It makes sure that the guilty doesn't go free, but also that the innocent doesn't suffer. What that means is, if you don't have probable cause, no matter how heinous the crime is, you don't charge. If the police violated someone's constitutional rights, searching that car and got drugs out of it, you don't charge, right? If you can't prove the case and probable cause don't exist, you don't charge. But at the same time, if a guy's in court, and I've had this happen before, representing himself, a guy named Jermaine Frazier, representing himself in a murder case that I handled. And Gloria Bayhawk was courtroom. He represented himself as his own lawyer. During the trial, I had to actually object for him. If he asked a question like, so you mean tell me Joe Lockett said I shot somebody? I had to object and say, Judge, I'm gonna object. That's hearsay. Joe Lockett is not here. He can't testify about what Joe Lockett said. Now, did I want that information to come out? Yes, because it'll help my case. But as the keeper of the system, I had to protect the record for him as well as the case. So the DA's job is just to make sure that there's fairness in the system, but also that people who commit criminal acts are held accountable. That's where it gets tough. Don't snitch in our community is prevalent. Let me tell you, something happened in West David, Hoover, Mount Brook.
They tell him.
People knocking the door down to tell. That's why those guys don't go over there with that foolishness. But they're empowered in our community. That's why they still do the things that they do. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. You know, and I'm gonna tell you this too. The DA also, the law said the district attorney shall enforce school compulsory attendance. People don't know that. You had board members at Board of Education didn't know that. They thought the school attendance officer did that. No, the district attorney's job is to enforce school attendance.
Okay.
Meaning if your family don't have your kid in school, you can haul that family off and put them in front of a judge.
I didn't know that. Wow.
You can do that. The DA also has the power to take your stuff, your car, your house. I can file a forfeiture on your stuff.
I ain't finna make you mad, man.
If I believe, yeah. So if
You
I
my
believe,
friend.
yeah, if I believe that you've garnered a certain amount of stuff through criminal activity, I can take your house, I can take your car.
Wow.
Do it all the time. Now, without, let me tell you this, y'all, tell you how much power. The law don't even require me to file paperwork. And what I mean by that, I don't have to arrest you. All I got to do is file a petition in the civil court, and they're going to put a hold on your stuff. And if I can prove that you got it through illegal activity, it's gone.
I got a joke, but I can't say it on there.
I
I'm gonna
know.
tell you afterwards.
It's gone. It's gone.
I'm gonna tell you after, but
So it's a lot of stuff, man.
but
It's
wow.
a lot of stuff.
So
It's power, man.
that's a lot of power.
It's a lot of power.
That's a lot of power.
So you have to be
I
humble.
knew you was that man, but I didn't know you was that dude.
No.
Wow,
no,
but man, you wear it and you honor the position well.
I appreciate it, man.
No. This is people don't understand. Number one, for you to take your time out in your busy day. This is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
To come down and have
Right.
this conversation with me, you have to care about the community and like me enough to do this. Number one,
Absolutely.
and I appreciate that.
Anytime, brother.
The other part is you being this person. A lot of times, you know, you get vetted, right?
Yeah.
You get a bunch of questions because you're
Right.
not going to come on here because maybe a get you gotcha type of thing.
Right.
And then I hit you back up and I said, bro, don't worry about none of that. And you
Right.
trusted me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me tell you,
Thank you.
Joe, look, man, you've always been a man of your word.
Thank you.
You've always been a man of the people.
Mhm.
You've always done what was right and done
Thank you.
good by our community, man.
Thank you.
And for that, you should be commended for that. And I
appreciate
know oftentimes people don't, people don't get enough, don't say it enough because oftentimes people take for granted
Mhm.
certain things. But in reality, man, I'll tell you this too. I told somebody, I am so comfortable with what I've done in this position for 24 years
Mhm.
that I'm an open book, and I really don't worry because there's nothing that I've done that I can't say.
True.
Here's what I've done. Here's why I did it.
Mhm.
Right. But no, man, I would do an interview with you anytime,
Thank you.
any place,
Wow.
anywhere,
That
man.
means a lot.
You make the call. You want me to come. I'm
Thank
there.
you.
You just tell me when.
My last question for you is actually for you and us.
Right. Uh-oh.
It's good. It's
Okay.
good, man. This is good.
I know you turn your head to the side. I don't know. Uh-oh.
Most people think, but this is actually really good. Danny, what do you and your team, and you being the DA,
Mhm.
have in store for us going forward?
Let me tell you, Joe, right now, we're still working on our more job fairs, but I'm going to tell you what I am working on.
Mhm.
Again, first time on this show.
Thank you.
Two things.
Okay.
Number one, I don't know if y'all hear in the community about people saying that they're having expungement clinics, right? We're doing expungement clinic. We're doing expungement clinic. Let me tell you what a real expungement clinic is.
Okay.
A real expungement clinic is a person going to a location
Mhm.
and leaving there knowing that they have that their criminal record has been expunged or will be. Here's why I say that. At most of the clinics, it's just some lawyers there that garner your information and then tell you we'll get back with you. To me, an expungement clinic will be people show up. In order to get an expungement, that's another power of the DA. The DA got to sign off on it. The DA got to sign off on it. The judge got to sign off on it. Aaliyah has to sign off on it. All these entities has to sign off on it. And you got to pay a $500 fee per case. And it's got to be placed on a court's docket. It don't just happen. But if you get all those people in one location, meaning Joe Lockett shows up, he needs his marijuana case expunged.
Mm.
Well, the DA is here. DA looks at your petition. Okay, I'm good with it. Pass it to the judge. I'm good with it. Aaliyah. Yeah, we got the fingerprint. I'm good with it. You walk out of there knowing I got an expungement.
Right.
That is an expungement clinic. Not you have a couple of lawyers, do volunteer lawyers there, and they take all your information and say, all 200 people, we may get back with you in 6 months and let you know. That's something I'm working on. That's a huge undertaking. The second thing I'm working on too is placing a second chance, and I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet, a second chance job relations kind of volunteer person in the DA's office.
Mm.
Here's where that's gonna be different. Because when you get out, people always hit me and say, man, I couldn't make the job fair. Or my job let me go, right?
Mm.
When is the next job fair? We only do once or twice a year. Well, now that I got a website set up and I got employers set up and want to hire people, that person shows up, show me that they're truly interested in giving a real livable wage job, and they have to have a criminal history. Then I'm gonna have somebody at that office to contact employers while they're sitting there.
Wow.
And when they walk out of there, they're gonna have a job. Think about it.
That's
the
cool.
DA's office.
Yeah.
Which means people from the hood.
No more excuses.
No more excuses. Man, my Helping Families Initiative, Joe. Let me say this.
You didn't lock him up.
Who is that? Oh, yeah, he definitely got to get locked
You
up.
didn't lock him up.
Matter of fact, I'm glad. Yeah,
Yeah,
boy,
we're
let me
looking
tell
for you.
Boy, let me tell you. Boy, look.
You bring them
Man,
all out.
Look, when you do right, man, they just show up or you lock them up. You don't have to go find them. You have to go find them.
If y'all wonder who's in the background, it's Big Rob. He was on the show last week.
Big Rob in the house, baby.
Yeah.
He's in the house. But the last thing, Well, let me tell you, while you're there, I'm gonna make sure you get some lobster tail on the steak. The kettle one, you'll be all right.
I did it.
No, but that's the last thing, man. It's
Right.
just that people contacting the office from Ensley, Pressy to North Birmingham, Blackpool, contacting the DA's office saying that program, Helping Families Initiative, it helped my child, it helped me. My child going to school now. We want to stay in the program. We don't want you to kick us out. We want to stay in the program.
Right.
What have you ever heard of Blackpool contacting the district attorney's office?
You haven't?
Want to be?
I ain't heard white folks doing that. Then
Correct.
I'm sorry, I ain't heard that.
So it's happening, man.
Yeah.
It's happening, man. So
Congratulations.
we're gonna keep doing it, my brother. But man, this show is awesome, man.
I got.
You know.
This is what I'll leave you with. This one here.
Okay.
What would you tell the 10-year-old Danny Carr, if you could tell him anything?
What would I tell him now?
Yeah.
I would tell him that, you know, number one, he got to believe in himself. Number two, that his circumstance don't dictate his future. Number three, you know, you show me your surroundings and the people you hang with, I will show you your future. And number four, and more importantly, be motivated by knowing and having a plan about what you can be and who you can be. And shoot for the moon. So if you miss, you'll always be amongst the stars.
So Danny, you did all that. Man, go ahead, grab that coffee.
I appreciate it,
grab
brother.
that coffee real quick,
Hey,
man.
yeah.
I want to say thank you, man, for
Absolutely,
everything you're
brother.
doing, bro. We love you, man.
Love you, man.
And that's what
Appreciate
brings success to you, man. All right, y'all. You guys have seen the one and only. He just wastes off here.
I'm glad I wasn't on camera then. But see, I told y'all, with friends like Joe, he gonna tell him I wasted it.
I knew you wasn't on camera. But it's all good. It's coffee. Hey, y'all. I hope y'all guys enjoyed this conversation. You're just catching this code up. Go back and watch on the LIM network, right? On YouTube, go down to Joe Lockett Show. And also, if you guys want to contact your DA, don't. Okay? Go to his office and stop thinking that things that can't be done. Hopefully, you guys learned a lot about the DA's office today. You have a DA in the Jefferson County, right, that cares about you, right? And that's very important. So make sure when it's time to go out there and vote, you do your research. I always tell people, do your research, then vote for my boy. All right? Y'all know how I feel about you, right? Your boy Joe Lockett, man. We love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Finish up your coffee, and I'll see you guys next week.